Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Take Five, and I hope you're feeling better. I'm glad you're watching today. I'm going to be reading from the computer, so if you see my hands doing things they don't usually do, that's what's going on. All right, we're in Exodus chapter 2, verse 11. One day after Moses had grown up, he went out to where his own people were and watched them at their hard labor. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. Glancing this way and that, and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. Now I'm going to point this out about Moses. Moses had convictions. Moses definitely had a sense of right and wrong. However, sometimes the way he went about doing things was not the best way. Now, he sees an Egyptian beating a Hebrew. Now, imagine if you saw an American beating up a Chinese person or something and forcing them into slavery and just really mistreating them. It would make you pretty upset, wouldn't it? Well, that's what happened with Moses. He got really ticked. He got upset. But rather than trusting God to handle the situation, he took matters into his own hands. And if you notice, it says he glanced this way. In other words, he looked this way and he looked that way. He didn't see anybody, so he thought he could get away with it. All right. So in some ways, his heart was right, but the way he went about it was wrong. And we do that sometimes. We may think that we're doing the right thing, but in fact, we're not, because we're not waiting for God to act. And I'll be honest, in the last few years, I've had thoughts of doing things to certain people who've hurt me. But you know what? I'm going to leave it to God. And I'll tell you, in some of these situations, I've already seen God work. And believe me, what he does is a lot better than what I could do. But anyway, this is what happened. So verse 13, the next day he went out and saw two Hebrews fighting. He asked the one in the wrong, "Why are you hitting your fellow Hebrew?" Verse 14, the man said, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of killing me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "What I did must have become known." So now he sees two fellow Hebrews fighting, and he sort of becomes a referee. And one guy said, "Who made you ruler and judge over us?" So they knew what he did. He thought he got away with it, but he didn't. And I will tell you, you're not going to get away with your sin. Eventually, it will become known. It will be found. You'll be found out for doing the wrong thing. So anyway, Moses got scared. In verse 15, when Pharaoh heard of this, he tried to kill Moses, but Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian, where he sat down by a well. So here's what I believe happened. Moses was born. He got put in that basket. The Pharaoh's daughter found him. He got raised to be an Egyptian. And it was God's plan to raise Moses up to rule these people, and he could have set them free at that point. But Moses sabotaged God's plan. I believe we can actually sabotage God's plan. Now, we can't eliminate God's plan, and we're going to see God's plan still going to pan out, but it's going to take longer now because of what Moses did. But Moses will eventually get back to Egypt, but look what's going to happen here in verse 16. So Moses has left Egypt and he's out in Midian. Now a priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came to draw water and fill the troughs to water their father's flock. Some shepherds came along and drove them away, but Moses got up and came to their rescue and watered their flock. When the girls returned to rule their father, he asked them, "Why have you returned so early today?" They answered, "An Egyptian rescued us from the shepherds. He even drew water for us and watered the flock." "And where is he?" asked his daughters. "Why did you leave him? Invite him to have something to eat." Moses agreed to stay with the man who gave his daughter Zipporah to Moses in marriage. Zipporah gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Gershom, saying, "I've become an alien in a foreign land." During that long period, the king of Egypt died. The Israelites groaned in their slavery and cried out, and their cry for help because of their slavery went up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. So God looked on the Israelites and was concerned with them. I'm going to wrap this up quickly. So Moses is out in Midian. There's 7 daughters this guy had. Didn't have any sons, apparently. He had 7 daughters. They're out watering the sheep. Some bad guys come along and try to mess with them, and Moses comes and drives them away. So Moses was tough. Remember, he already killed the Egyptian. All right, so now he's out here and he drives these guys away. Thankfully, this time he doesn't kill anybody. All right. The girls go back and tell their dad. They say, well, why'd you let him go? Let's go find him. So they go and find him, invite him into their home. So Moses has a home now, and he actually has a woman to marry. And I can relate to Moses. I was out in the wilderness for years and years, and God provided finally a home for me too. God's going to take care of you if you walk with him, if you stay with him, even when you mess up like Moses did and like I did. God cares for you, and he'll eventually take care of you, all right? But now the last thing, and we're going a little long today, but we'll pick up again tomorrow. The Israelites groaned in their slavery. The Israelites are God's people. Remember, they cried out to God. And whenever God's people cry out to God, when they're humble, he will listen. They weren't humble before, but now they're humble, and they need some help. And guess who is going to be the help that God provides? Hey, thank you so much for watching. Know it went a little long today. Love you. Come back tomorrow for the next edition of Take 5.